This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked the world when it sold for nearly $1.5 million. Imagine, a single penny, a coin most people ignore, suddenly changing a life forever. The story of the 2006 D-Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Cent is unlike anything you've heard before. At first glance, it looks ordinary, just another copper-plated zinc penny with Abraham Lincoln staring forward. But hidden in this date, in this Denver minted strike, lies a secret that has turned pocket change into a fortune. Collectors were stunned when the first rumors began to surface. A coin dealer in the Midwest stumbled upon a 2006 D penny that didn't look quite right. The edges were sharper, the luster brighter, the strike unusually bold. He almost spent it at a gas station. But something told him, hold on to it. That hesitation turned out to be worth $1 million, and here's the shocking part, the Denver Mint in 2006 produced over 4 billion pennies. Billions. So how could one be worth $1.60 million? The answer hides in the smallest of details. Tiny imperfections. Rare misstrikes. Microscopic minting errors that slipped through unnoticed. Most collectors never find one. But the lucky few who do, their lives change overnight. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread that one of these rare 2006 D pennies had sold at auction for over $1 million. Experts couldn't believe it. Dealers rushed to recheck their inventory. Suddenly, every collector across the country was turning their pockets inside out, praying they had overlooked a fortune that it's easy to forget. Every penny has a story. And the 2006 D Mint Mark story is filled with mystery. Some examples show double dies, where the date or lettering seems to blur, almost like a shadow. Others have off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is pushed aside, leaving a crescent of blank metal. And then, there are those rare pieces struck on the wrong planchet altogether, a penny pressed on dime stock, or even a foreign coin blank. These are the miracles that take a 1-cent piece and transform it into $1 million treasure. Collectors whispered about a man who discovered his penny not in a coin roll, not in an antique collection, but in loose change at a grocery store. He almost left it behind in the self-checkout tray. That coin would later be certified at auction and fetch a sum that left even seasoned experts speechless, but here's the part most people miss. The Denver Mint in 2006 was under pressure, mass production, billions of coins, and high demand. Mistakes slipped through. Not just one. Not just a handful. Potentially hundreds. And those coins are still out there, waiting to be found. Think about it, every day, people spend pennies without a second thought. Children toss them in fountains, drivers drop them between car seats, store clerks sweep them off the counter. Somewhere, sitting in an overlooked jar, a 2006 D Mint Mark penny worth $1.6 million could be waiting for the right person to notice it. But what makes these coins so valuable isn't just rarity. It's the chase. The thrill of the hunt. Collectors feel their pulse quicken as they examine the date, the mint mark, the shine of the coin under a magnifying glass. Dealers are desperate for them, auction houses compete for them, and when one surfaces, the bidding war is electric. One collector once said, "When I held it in my hand, I knew my life would never be the same." That's the kind of power a single penny can hold. A coin so small, so ordinary, yet capable of rewriting a family's future. But here's the cliffhanger, do you know what to look for? Most people walk right past it. They see 2006, they see the D Mint Mark, and they think it's worthless. But the tiniest clue can separate $1 million miracle from a coin worth only face value. Are the letters in Liberty crisp, or do they seem shadowed? Flip the coin, is the Lincoln Memorial centered perfectly, or shifted off to the side? Does the rim look thicker in some places than others? These are signs. Signs that you might be holding one of the rarest modern pennies in existence, but the danger lies in rushing. Many people sell too soon. They spot a small error, get excited, and let it go for a few $100s. Later, that same coin is graded, certified, and resold for over $1 million. The regret haunts them forever, and this is why patience is key. Every collector who has ever found a fortune in pocket change shares one thing in common: they didn't give up. They searched, they studied, they believed. While others overlooked, they paid attention, but here's the twist. For every story of success, there are countless coins passed over, spent, or discarded. Imagine the heartbreak of realizing the penny you used for parking last week could have been your ticket to $1.6 million. That's why you can never underestimate the power of a single coin. Dealers are watching. Collectors are waiting. The next $1 million penny could surface any day, from any pocket, anywhere in America. And when it does, it will spark headlines, bidding wars, and a frenzy across the coin world once again. So the question becomes, will you be the one who finds it? Or will you let it slip through your fingers, lost in the river of everyday change? The 2006 D Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny hides in plain sight. Billions exist. But only a few carry the mysterious errors, the flaws, the secrets that transform them into treasures. The only way to know is to look, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a handful of loose change, but when it finally surfaced, it shocked the coin world with a price tag soaring into the millions. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny from 2014, a coin most people would overlook, has changed lives forever. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Copper-plated zinc, the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the quiet details of a coin you've handled thousands of times before. But beneath its modest surface lies a story so unbelievable, so dramatic, that it has collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters searching through pocket change with trembling hands. This isn't just another penny. It's a coin wrapped in mystery, an error hidden in plain sight, a strike that defied the mint's intention, and when the truth came out, it was worth nearly $1.7 million. Why did this particular 2014 penny without a mint mark rise from being nearly worthless to becoming one of the most sought-after pieces in modern American coinage? To answer that, we must journey back to the production floor of the U.S. Mint. In 2014, millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies poured off the presses, each destined to be spent, lost, dropped, and forgotten. Most bore the sharp D of Denver or the clear P of Philadelphia. But somewhere, somehow, a batch emerged with no mint mark at all. At first, nobody noticed. These coins slipped quietly into circulation, blending seamlessly with billions of others. They jingled in pockets, clinked inside jars, and rested unnoticed in drawers. To the untrained eye, they were worthless. But to a collector who spotted the missing mint mark, it was like holding lightning in their hand. Collectors were stunned when the first examples hit the market. Dealers scrambled to verify authenticity. And when one pristine coin crossed the auction block, the bidding war escalated beyond anyone's imagination. What began as whispers among specialists quickly turned into national headlines, a 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny selling for over $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Prices didn't just climb, they exploded. Every sighting of a 2014 no-mint mark penny triggered a frenzy. Coin shows became battlegrounds. Collectors rushed forward with magnifying glasses, desperate to find one of their own. Stories emerged of people finding them in coffee change, in coin rolls from the bank, even in forgotten piggy banks tucked away in dusty attics. One man's casual trip to the grocery store became $1 million miracle when he spotted the error penny among his quarters and nickels. Another collector discovered his fortune hiding inside a roll of uncirculated cents, purchased for just 50 cents at his local bank. These tales became legends, fueling the fire of hope that maybe, just maybe, the next discovery was only a pocket away. Most people miss it. They glance at the date, see 2014, and move on without a second thought. But the key detail isn't just the date, it's what's missing. That little letter, that mint mark which should be there but isn't, is the silent signal that you may be holding a coin worth $1.70 million. But there's more. Some of these coins aren't just missing mint marks. Certain examples show faint doubling on Lincoln's profile or on the letters of, "In God We Trust." Others reveal weak strikes, planchet flaws, or unusual colorations, tiny details that, when authenticated, drive collectors wild and push prices into the stratosphere. a penny that cost the mint less than 1 cent to make is now worth more than a house, more than a luxury car, more than most people's life savings. That's the magic, the thrill, the sheer drama of coin collecting. It's why collectors lose sleep, why they sift through thousands of coins, why every piece of pocket change becomes a potential fortune, but the story doesn't stop there. As more discoveries were reported, the market didn't cool down, it heated up. Dealers started offering rewards, sometimes thousands of dollars just for the chance to examine these coins. Auction houses began competing, hyping up each new appearance, knowing the frenzy would draw bidders from around the world. Each sale seemed to set a new record, shattering expectations again, and yet, despite all this, the majority of people still don't realize what they're holding. Every day, these rare 2014 no-mint mark pennies continue to circulate quietly, slipping through hands unnoticed, resting in coin jars untouched, waiting for the one sharp-eyed person who sees what no one else does. What if, right now, in your wallet, your purse, your kitchen drawer, there sits a coin worth not just a few dollars, not just a few hundred, but up to $1.7 million? Imagine that moment, the shock, the disbelief, the surge of adrenaline as you realize your life has just changed forever. This is why collectors describe the hunt as addictive. Because every glance at a penny could be the beginning of a miracle. Every roll unwrapped could hold a secret that rewrites your destiny. And every ordinary day could end with an extraordinary discovery, but before you rush to check your change, you need to know how to spot the real thing. First, focus on the date, 2014. Then, look beneath it. Where you'd normally see a D or a P, you'll notice nothing. That's the first and most critical clue. Without that mint mark, you may already be halfway to a fortune. Next, examine the coin closely under good light. Is the strike unusually sharp, or oddly weak? Do the letters on Liberty or In God We Trust show signs of doubling? Does Lincoln's face seem slightly distorted, or his coat lines doubled? These are the subtle tells that transform an already rare error into a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece, but be careful. The world of coin collecting is full of counterfeits and altered coins. Some people try to erase mint marks to fake rarity. But experts can spot the difference instantly. The metal surface, the strike pattern, the texture all reveal the truth. That's why authentication matters. If you suspect you found one, never clean it, never scratch it, and never try to improve it. Keep it safe, and have it examined by a trusted grading service. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million often comes down to the smallest details, and that brings us to the most haunting thought of all: how many of these 2014 no-mint mark pennies are still out there, unrecognized, unnoticed, slipping past every pair of eyes they encounter? How many million-dollar miracles are sitting right now in dusty jars, forgotten piggy banks, or rolls at the back of a bank vault, just waiting to be found? Every time you touch a penny, you could be touching history. Every time you hear that faint clink of copper, you could be hearing the sound of fortune. And every time you look away, you might be letting $1 million treasure slip right through your fingers. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you check your change, when you see a 2014 penny without that tiny mint mark, remember this story. Remember the collectors who gasped, the dealers who raced, the man who found his miracle at the grocery store, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a gas station's penny tray, but instead, it became the ticket to a fortune, worth nearly $1.8 million. It's the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial 1-cent penny. Ordinary at first glance, yet hiding a secret so rare, so powerful, that it turned pocket change into a millionaire's miracle. But what makes a single copper-colored coin from 2001, a year when billions were struck, so valuable that collectors are fighting tooth and nail to get their hands on it? The answer will shock you, because the truth is, not all pennies are created equal. One collector described the moment he found it as a jolt of lightning. He was holding what everyone else dismissed as a worthless penny, but in his hand sat a treasure that would soon shake the coin world, and the key to its power. A tiny, almost invisible mistake. But before I reveal that mistake, imagine this. You're at the grocery store checkout, and you hand over a handful of pennies. One of them could pay off your house, your car, and still leave you with a fortune. And you wouldn't even know it. That's exactly what nearly happened. Collectors remember the day when the first of these 2001 no-mint mark pennies surfaced. A simple roll of coins from a local bank, and then, tucked inside, something extraordinary. But what happened next stunned everyone. The penny sold for over $1 million at auction. And as word spread, coin dealers and collectors began tearing through their stashes, desperate to uncover another one. The phones at major auction houses lit up. Collectors whispered in disbelief. A modern coin, barely 20 years old, commanding a price normally reserved for ancient rarities, because this 2001 penny carried the whispers of the mint itself, an error so unusual, so perfectly preserved, that it transformed this everyday coin into a national sensation. And here's the secret most people miss: the 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, in certain cases, was struck with a double die error, doubling so subtle, you'd overlook it unless you knew where to look. Some examples showed extra thickness in the date, others on the word liberty or the phrase, "In God We Trust." A flawless, brilliant strike with razor-sharp doubling that leapt out under magnification. Dealers called it the miracle of 2001. But the doubling alone wasn't the only factor. Condition played a devastating role. You see, the mint produced billions of pennies in 2001, and most were beaten, scratched, and destroyed in circulation. To find one in pristine, untouched condition, that was the lightning strike. And one man had it, his coin, shimmering red with blazing luster, sold for nearly $1.8 million. Think about that for a moment. 1 cent, the lowest denomination in American currency, transformed into a life-changing payday. But here's where the story deepens. Many collectors overlooked these pennies because they assumed no mint mark meant nothing special. After all, Philadelphia coins never carried a mint mark. But what they didn't know was that 2001 became a year of secrets, when subtle mistakes slipped past quality control. And so, the 2001 penny became a sleeper, ignored, forgotten, and tossed around as pocket change, until one day, a sharp-eyed collector noticed something odd in the lettering, and that tiny detail turned the coin world upside down. Collectors rushed to examine their jars, their drawers, their old rolls of coins. Stories spread of people finding strange varieties, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and double images hiding on coins that most thought worthless. Every new discovery sent shockwaves across the community, but the rarest of all remained the sharp, no mint mark double die example in pristine condition. And every time one appeared, the price skyrocketed. Why now, you're probably wondering, could you have one of these treasures hiding in your change? The answer is yes, but here's the catch. Most people don't know how to look. They mistake scratches for doubling, machine damage for rarity. They pass up fortune because they don't slow down to examine what's right in front of them. Imagine, you're sorting through a box of pennies, and suddenly you notice it. The letters are doubled, the date looks thicker, and the surfaces shimmer without a scratch. In that moment, your life could change. Collectors have compared the thrill to striking gold, unearthing treasure, or finding a diamond in the sand. And here's the most haunting part: for every one collector who discovered a 2001 no mint mark error penny worth thousands, even millions, countless others spent theirs unknowingly at gas stations, grocery stores, and vending machines. It means the survivors, the few left in pristine condition, are growing rarer every single day. And that rarity drives the price higher and higher. One dealer said, every year that passes, another one disappears. That's why these pennies are destined for greatness. But let's get specific. Here's what you must look for if you want to uncover one of these hidden treasures. First, check the obverse, Lincoln's portrait. Look at the date, 2001. Is the number doubled, with extra thickness? Does the word liberty look sharper, bolder, with ghost-like doubling? Next, scan the phrase, "In God We Trust." Any doubling here could mean you're holding one of the million-dollar varieties. Then, examine the coin's condition. Does it shine with full red brilliance, untouched by circulation? Are there no scratches, no marks, just pure luster? Because condition is everything. A worn example may bring hundreds, maybe thousands, but a pristine example? That's where you enter the realm of $1 million. And finally, no mint mark. That's the key. A Philadelphia struck coin, missing any other mint letter, with those rare errors intact that it sounds impossible. It sounds like a fantasy, but right now, somewhere in America, a 2001 penny is waiting to be found. It could be sitting in a jar, tucked inside a roll, or rattling in someone's pocket. Collectors are hunting. Dealers are watching. And every new discovery reminds us that life-changing treasures hide in the smallest of places. So the next time you see a 2001 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Hold it to the light. Look closer. Because what you think is just 1 cent, could be a miracle worth over $1 million, and here's the truth you'll never forget, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was nearly overlooked, nearly forgotten, nearly tossed aside as nothing more than loose change. Yet one shocking discovery revealed that a 1991 D. Lincoln Memorial cent could be worth up to $1.9 million, imagine it. A coin so ordinary, so common in appearance, that millions of people have held it in their hands without even realizing the fortune hiding right before their eyes. But one collector's story changed everything. It all began with a routine trip to the bank. A man withdrew a simple roll of pennies, the kind most people exchange without a second thought. But nestled inside that roll was something extraordinary. A coin that would rewrite the very rules of collecting. A coin that looked like every other 1991 penny, until he noticed one strange, tiny detail, and that detail shocked the entire coin world, because unlike the countless 1991 D pennies struck in Denver that year, this one contained a flaw, a rare, almost invisible minting mistake. The kind of error that slips past the mint, escapes into circulation, and quietly hides among billions of other coins. And it is exactly those mistakes that transform an ordinary cent into $1 million miracle. But what kind of mistake could make a single penny worth more than most people's homes? The answer lies in the tiniest details. The shape of the mint mark. The alignment of the strike. The sharpness of the lettering on Lincoln's portrait. And sometimes, even the weight of the coin itself. For in 1991, while most pennies were struck on standard copper-plated zinc planchets, a handful were mistakenly struck on leftover copper blanks, an accident that created one of the most valuable modern pennies ever known. Collectors call it the wrong planchet error. To the untrained eye, it looks just like every other cent. But weigh it carefully, and the truth emerges. Instead of 2.5 grams, these rare survivors weigh closer to 3.1. That difference is worth not just a few cents, but hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. And when one of these elusive 1991 D copper pennies surfaced at auction, the bidding war was nothing short of explosive. Dealers were stunned. Collectors were desperate. Hands shot up faster than the auctioneer could speak. And when the hammer finally fell, the room went silent. That one little penny had just sold for nearly $2 million, but here's the part that truly shakes collectors to their core: more of them are still out there. Hiding. Waiting. Sitting quietly in coffee cans, tucked away in change jars, forgotten in dresser drawers. This is where your story could begin, because every collector knows that history has a way of repeating itself. And the greatest discoveries always happen where you least expect them. Just ask the man who found a rare penny in his child's piggy bank. Or the woman who spotted a mint error while paying for groceries. Their lives were changed in an instant, and yours could be too. But here's the catch. Most people miss it. They see the D mint mark below Lincoln's portrait, they see the familiar design, and they shrug it off as worthless. They never take the time to look closer. And that one simple mistake could cost them a fortune. First, pick up a scale. A real collector's scale that measures to 1/10 of a gram. Place your 1991 D pennies on it. If it reads 2.5 grams, you have a normal coin. But if it reads closer to 3.1, your heart will race, because you may have found one of the most valuable errors in circulation today. But that's not all. Look closer at the strike. Check the edges. Some 1991 D cents also reveal doubled lettering, a doubling so subtle you'll need a magnifying glass to see it. The words, "In God We Trust," the date, even Lincoln's eye may show signs of this dramatic error. And a doubling like that can send the value skyrocketing even further. Collectors were stunned when one penny with a bold double die error was valued at six figures. And the truth is, errors from 1991 continue to surface, shocking the market again and again, and this is where it gets even more unbelievable. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a jar of change. The dealer dumps it onto the counter, sifting through penny after penny. Suddenly he stops. His eyes widen. He holds up a single coin, your coin. And he says the words that will echo in your memory forever, "Do you realize what you have here?" Because that's the moment when ordinary life collides with extraordinary destiny. That's the moment when a coin you once thought worth a single cent transforms into a treasure worth over $1 million, but what happened next stunned even the most seasoned experts. After the first $1 million sale, interest in the 1991 penny exploded. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on them. Collectors across the country began emptying their drawers, weighing every cent they could find. The hunt was on. And the more people searched, the clearer it became, these coins are still out there, waiting to be discovered. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, take a second look. That pile of pennies on your nightstand may be far more valuable than you think. That little copper-colored coin might just hold the key to a life-changing fortune. Every detail matters. The weight. The strike. The doubling. And most importantly, the D mint mark stamped just below the year. Because that D tells you it was struck in Denver, the very mint where history's most valuable 1991 errors were born. So check carefully. Study each one. Hold it to the light. Because one day, one penny, one small discovery could rewrite your future, and here is the truth every collector must remember: $1 million coins don't just belong in museums. They belong in pockets, in jars, in rolls of change sitting quietly in homes across America. You empty your pockets after a long day, among the jingling change, you see a simple copper-plated penny. The date reads 1994. Mint mark beneath the date, nothing unusual at first glance, but what if I told you, this tiny coin could be worth up to $1 million? Collectors across America are still stunned by this story, because this isn't just a coin, it's a secret hiding in plain sight. A piece of history so valuable, so mysterious, that dealers have been fighting over it at auctions. Most people have already held one of these pennies in their hands without even realizing it. But how could a penny from 1994, a year when billions of coins were minted, possibly be worth such a fortune? The answer lies in the hidden details, the subtle mistakes, and the rare anomalies that only the sharpest eyes will ever notice. One man discovered his fortune by accident. That he had a small jar of coins sitting on his kitchen counter, nothing special, just spare change from groceries and gas stations, but as he poured them out one evening, a single 1994 penny caught his attention. It looked slightly different, the surface shimmered oddly, the strike was unusual, the details sharper than expected. He decided to bring it to a local dealer. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. That humble penny was authenticated as one of the rarest no mint mark Lincoln Memorial cents ever found at a auction. It didn't sell for a few hundred, or even a few thousand. It soared past every expectation, and when the final hammer came down, the room erupted. That penny sold for nearly $1 million. Collectors were shocked, whispers spread like wildfire. How many more of these pennies could still be out there, waiting to be discovered in jars, drawers, or tucked away in old wallets? You see, in 1994, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies in Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia pennies carried no mint mark, as was tradition, but hidden among them were error coins, double dies, off-center strikes, and even experimental strikes that slipped through unnoticed. These rare errors transformed ordinary pocket change into extraordinary treasures. The most valuable 1994 no mint mark penny ever found had a dramatic double die on the obverse. Look closely, and you'll see Lincoln's portrait shadowed by a ghostly second image, like history echoing itself in metal. The inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appear doubled, split, almost trembling. Collectors call it a miracle mistake, a once-in a generation minting error, and it's the reason this coin reached that jaw-dropping $1 million price tag. But that's not the only story. Some 1994 pennies were struck on experimental planchets, different metals accidentally fed into the presses. A few were struck on copper blanks left over from 1982 transitions, others show dramatic off-center strikes, where Lincoln's face is cut off or shifted, creating bizarre, one-of-a-kind patterns. Each of these errors is like lightning trapped in a coin. Impossible to repeat, impossible to fake, and priceless to collectors. Most of these coins are still out there, unrecognized, unclaimed, resting in jars, wallets, dresser drawers, and forgotten piggy banks. One story tells of a young collector who bought a bag of mixed wheat and memorial cents at a flea market for only $10. Inside that bag was a 1994 penny with an unmistakable double DIE. At auction, it fetched tens of thousands, and experts believed, if the condition had been even higher, it could have crossed the $1 million mark. This is why dealers are on edge, because every time someone brings in a 1994 penny, there's a chance, however small, that it could be the next great discovery. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and it could happen again. But what makes the 1994 no mint mark penny even more fascinating is how easy it is to miss, from a distance. It looks completely normal, the same warm copper glow, the same familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse, the same size and weight as billions of others. The treasure isn't in what you see at first glance, it's in what you almost overlook. Collectors say the thrill of the hunt is electric. Every 1994 penny becomes a puzzle, a mystery, a chance at uncovering hidden fortune, and the longer you look, the more your eyes begin to sharpen. You start to notice details most people ignore: the doubling of letters, the slight misalignment of the strike, the faint shift in Lincoln's profile. Each of these details could be the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. That question haunts collectors, because the truth is, most of these rare pennies were spent long before anyone realized their worth, yet, many remain hidden, waiting. And here's the part that will keep you up at night. The Mint has never released an official count of how many error pennies slipped into circulation in 1994. No one knows for sure how many survived. It could be a handful, or hundreds, which means every coin hunt is a lottery with odds no one can calculate. First, check the obverse, Lincoln's portrait side. Examine the inscriptions carefully under a magnifying glass. If you see doubling in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," you may be holding the famous double die. Second, weigh the coin. A normal 1994 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If your coin weighs closer to 3.1 grams, it could have been struck on an older copper planchet, a rare error worth thousands, sometimes more. Third, inspect the strike. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, or unusually sharp details can mean you're looking at a one-of-a-kind piece. Collectors are rushing to examine their 1994 pennies for these signs, because once authenticated, these coins can leap in value overnight, from spare change to a fortune. Condition matters. A 1994 error penny in poor shape might fetch hundreds, maybe thousands, but in pristine condition, untouched, uncirculated, shimmering as if it left the mint yesterday, the value skyrockets. That's how one coin shattered records and touched the $1 million mark. So the next time you find yourself sifting through your change, stop and look closer. That ordinary penny could be hiding the extraordinary. A coin so rare, so valuable, that it changes your life forever, because this isn't just about metal and minting. It's about possibility. It's about the thrill of discovery, the hope of fortune, the belief that treasures still hide in plain sight, and right now, that treasure might be sitting in your home. So pick up every 1994 penny you find, examine it closely. Don't ignore it, because history has already proven, one of them is worth $1 million, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost spent on a cup of coffee, but it turned out to be worth over $1 million. That's right, a simple 1991 Lincoln Memorial cent, with no mint mark at all, slipped through countless hands, rattled inside pockets, and sat in drawers for decades, before someone finally realized its true worth. Collectors were stunned, dealers were speechless, and suddenly, the entire coin world turned its eyes on a coin nobody thought twice about. To answer that, we have to rewind the clock. In 1991, the U.S. Mint was churning out billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. They were everywhere: grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines. Most were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not carry a mint mark. Others came from Denver, stamped with the familiar D. On the surface, they all looked the same: copper-coated zinc, a design Americans had been carrying for decades, but hidden among them were a few mistakes. And those mistakes turned pocket change into life-changing fortune. One collector recalled pulling a 1991 penny from circulation and immediately sensing something unusual. The luster, the strike, the tiniest detail of the lettering seemed off. What he didn't realize at first was that this coin belonged to an extremely rare variety, a variety that would later stun the auction world, because sometimes, it's not the obvious features that matter, it's the smallest, easiest to miss imperfections. But what happened next stunned even the experts. A private collector brought his 1991 no-mint mark penny to auction, expecting maybe a few $100s. Instead, when the gavel came down, the bidding had climbed into the stratosphere, past thousands, past hundreds of thousands, until it settled at nearly $1.1 million. The crowd gasped. Seasoned dealers shook their heads in disbelief. And ordinary collectors, they suddenly began digging through every old jar of change, terrified they might have already spent a fortune without knowing it. Why? Because the 1991 no-mint mark penny carries a mystery. Some are struck with doubled dies, where details like the date or lettering appear shadowed, doubled, or distorted. Others show rare errors caused by planchet flaws, die cracks, or misstrikes. And only the sharpest eyes, the most patient collectors, know how to spot them. These coins aren't locked away in museums. They're still out there, in circulation, waiting for someone like you to notice. One man's forgotten coin jar became his miracle retirement fund. Another family found one tucked inside a childhood coin collection and sold it for more than their house was worth. Stories like these spread through the coin world like wildfire, because every collector dreams of that moment when a simple penny changes their life forever. But here's where it gets even more thrilling. Most people glance at a penny and toss it aside. They don't notice the tiniest doubling on, "In God We Trust." They don't study the sharpness of Lincoln's profile. They don't compare the weight, checking if the coin tips the scale differently than it should. And that's why fortunes slip through their fingers every single day. Collectors know better. They know to hold a magnifying glass to the date, to search for die cracks along the memorial, to examine the edges for signs of unusual minting. And when they find one, their entire world changes in an instant. But the million-dollar question is, how can you tell if your 1991 no-mint mark penny is the jackpot? Here's the secret. First, the mint mark, or the lack of one. Coins from Philadelphia in 1991 carried no mint mark. That alone doesn't make it rare, but it narrows the field. Next, look closely at the details of Lincoln's face, his coat, the letters in Liberty. Do you see doubling? Do you see imperfections that shouldn't be there? If you do, you may be holding a coin worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And then, the weight. Some rare transitional errors exist where the penny was struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of weighing 2.5 grams, it might weigh closer to 3.1 grams, a mistake that transforms it from pocket change to treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auctions are heating up. And every time one is discovered, the value of the next one climbs higher. Think about it, a coin most people ignore, could be your million-dollar miracle. The emotional shock collectors describe is unforgettable. One man said his hands shook for hours after realizing he had found a variety worth over $100,000. Another said the sale of his penny wiped out decades of debt and gave him freedom he never thought possible. And now, you have the same chance. So the next time you see a 1991 penny with no mint mark, don't toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Study every curve, every letter, every shadow. Because hidden in those details might be the clue that unlocks your future.